What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So, yes, you see it. I watched Get Out last night for the first time. It was one of those movies where it came out a while ago and I didn't see it. And no particular reason. I just didn't see the movie. I didn't watch it. Um, when this movie first came out, I thought it was like a scary movie. I thought it was just one of those scary movies. It's a Jordan Peele movie. I think that this movie is what really kind of brought the main character to life, or out here to make more movies. I don't remember his name, please forgive me, I don't remember any of the characters' names. But you guys will obviously know who I'm talking about when I discuss what I felt about the movie. So I thought that this movie was absolutely crazy. It was absolutely insane. I did not expect what I saw in this movie. I don't know what this movie was about. I didn't even see I'm sure I saw the trailer, but I don't remember it. I didn't read what the synopsis was of the movie. I just dove into it, and I started to pick things up along the way. Like, I'm one of those people that, like, when it comes to like really creepy movies, I kind of make note of certain things. So anyway, I'll get to that. But anyway, so this movie takes place with a couple, black and white. He's a photographer. I'm not quite sure what she does, but in the beginning, they are preparing to go to her parents' house for the weekend, and he's concerned because he's black and she's white and she's never had a black boyfriend. So she's like, don't worry about it. She's joking around about it. She was just like, trust me, I would not bring you around my father if he felt that way. He voted for Obama. If he could vote for Obama a third term, he would. Like, really making light of the situation. I was just like, okay, I was convinced. So they prepare themselves. They get in the car. They're driving. As they're driving, I get really like shocked when I see this thing that I later see as a deer. It didn't even look like it was running across the street. It looked like it got flung across the way, and it hit their car and ended up on the other side of the road. But it looked like it got flung over. It didn't look like it jumped. It was like it was running in the street. So that was the first thing I noticed. So I was just like, that was really weird. So then he felt compelled to go check on the deer. Now, of course, she calls the cops instead of calling animal control. And so it begins. The cop is kind of looking at him like, can I see your driver's license? And she's like, well, wait a minute, for what? He wasn't driving. So him not hiding anything, of course, he's like, don't worry about it, I'll show it to him. She was like, She was like, no, of course it was racial profiling. But she kind of looked at him a certain way that kind of had him back off. So I was just like, okay, whatever. I didn't think anything of it at that point. So they got back in the car. They finally got to their parents' house. And her parents apparently are... Her father is a neurologist, I guess, and her mom's... she's into hypnosis. She does, hypnotism. So she's a psychiatrist. She's a psychiatrist, I think. A psychiatrist or a psychotherapist. Either way, she's into all of that. So immediately, like, they get there and, they're greeting each other. Everything is fine. They have a seat in the living room. And the way that he is kind of like talking or acting, she was just like, all right, it's too much. Like, what's going on with him? Like, but they're joking around. They look like those type of families that is just like, dad's got no filter. Mom's always like, oh my gosh, what's the next thing that's going to come out of his mouth? Typical thing. I didn't think anything of it, but I kind of felt like the mom was a little weird. But I was like, you know what? Let me just continue to ride this ride in this movie. So long story short, they get themselves together and everything, and he's taking a tour of the house with the dad, and the dad is kind of like, certain things that is kind of like, it seems like the guy, I don't know his name. but his name in the movie is Chris. So he's walking around with the dad, and he's just kind of like nodding and smiling and not really talking too much, but it seems like he's just kind of taking everything all in, and just kind of being aware, which is normal. You don't know the people, and you may be on edge, maybe not, I don't know. But then the dad, he kind of points out that, oh, there's the door to the basement, but we keep it locked due to mold. Immediately I was just like, why would you lock mold in? Like, why would you not take care of that? Like, why would you just... So that was like the first little reddish flag to me. I was just like, okay, something's weird about that. Let's stick a thumbtack in that one. So as the movie was going along, they're outside talking, and we see, when they first go in, they see that the groundkeeper, he's looking really weird. He's another black man, and he's kind of looking at him like, okay, I see. So then I'm just like, okay, I see. So then I was like, okay, maybe it's nothing. So then they get there, and the maid is black, and she is also a little weird. So in my mind, I was just like him. I was just like, so the help is black? Okay, let's see where this goes, right? But they were acting weird. Like, I couldn't put my finger on it at that moment, but I was like, okay, something's up. So anyway, fast forward. So they're outside, and they're talking, and they're having iced tea or whatever, and the mom does something with the cup that I immediately noticed. And I was like, okay, we're going to stick a thumbtack in that one too. And what's funny is that Tyrone has seen this movie before, but the stuff that I was pointing out, he was like, I don't know. I don't think that was anything. And I said, I don't know. Like, I think that meant something when she tapped her glass 3 times while the maid came around refilling everybody's cup. The maid almost kind of was in a trance. Like, her mind went, and then the mom told her she just needed to go lay down. And I don't know, it was really strange. But I'm like, I don't know what this means, but I think she kind of did something here. We're going to continue on. So as the movie is going to continue on, we see that at some point when they're on their way there, he's talking to his boy on the phone, and his boy was just basically telling him like, yo, don't go there, don't do it. We think he's being funny, but not. And he was just like, yo, like, I don't think it's a good idea. Don't go over there. He was talking about them turning into sex slaves. It was insane, the conversation, right? It was funny for the moment, but later on we found out that it wasn't so funny. So fast forward. So now her parents remind her of this event that's going on that weekend. So she was like, oh, that was this weekend, I forgot. So they seem to be very close, the couple, and they seem to love each other very much, and they're assuring each other and then reassuring each other, whatever. They seem to have a pretty healthy relationship, right? So anyway, so the party happens, the guests start to arrive, and immediately I noticed that all of the guests were arriving in black cars with tinted windows. And I'm just like, this is some type of secret society type of, like, what? Who are these people, right? First of all, this is a big point that I have to make. In the very beginning of this movie, we see a black guy, who's walking down the street at night talking on the phone with his girl or whoever it is, and he starts to get followed by someone in a white car. He knows he's in a neighborhood he shouldn't be in. He's like, all right, you know what? Let me turn around. Let me get up out of here, right? So, of course, he gets snatched up at some point. Gone. We don't see him ever again after that, right? So then all the guests begin to arrive and everything, and all these people are just kind of walking around like they all have something to say in reference to a black person, or, it was just really, really weird. Like, it was really strange to me. And I was just like, okay, something's up with this. So then the guy, Chris, he comes across, he sees another black man across the way. So immediately he smiles, he goes up to the guy. The guy turns around, and they made a reference. They made it, the movie made it their business to kind of focus a little extra on him. And I didn't catch it then, but Tyrone had to let me know later on. He was like, "Do you know who that is?" I was just like, "No." He was like, "You remember the dude from the beginning?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "That's him." I was like, "What?" I was like, "He seems like he's in a trance. Like, what is going on?" So anyway, oh, I'm skipping a whole big part. So anyway, they spend the night there, that first night there. He is a smoker, right? The guy's a smoker. He goes outside to have a smoke. He goes outside, okay? And we see the groundkeeper running at him in full speed in the dark in the middle of the night. Yo, I freaked out. I freaked out, y'all. I was going nuts. I was like, y'all know when I'm gaming, when I'm doing certain reactions, I don't like things running at me in the screen. So seeing this movie and this dude just running at full speed freaked me the heck out, okay? Apparently he was jogging. What? No, he wasn't jogging. He was running at full speed. So anyway, as he's making his way in, he also sees the maid at one point. So anyway, I may be jumping around a little bit here, but anyway, so yeah, so the maid is a little weird too. So he goes out, he makes his way back in the house, and the mom is sitting in her office, right? And she's sitting there with a cup of tea, and she was just like, "Are you smoking or whatever?" And he's kind of like laughing it off. So he sits with her after she invites him in the room, and she's sitting there talking to him. And she's like, "That's my daughter. That's my daughter." Like basically she wants him to quit smoking, and they were talking about putting him under hypnosis to make him quit. So instead, what she's got this teacup and she's swirling it around while she's asking him questions about his past. I said, here we freaking go. She has opened up Pandora's box. She's about to hypnotize him. So she starts to kind of make him think back to the time where his mother passed away. And then at some point she's like sinking to the floor. And I was just like, what? That creeped me out when I heard her say that. So he's in this black hole, and all he sees is this square with her face in it, like a window. And it was so nuts. And then eventually we see he wakes up in the middle of the night. And then the next day is when this event happens and all this stuff. So anyway, fast forward to the guy who we saw in the beginning, who is now there. He looks, he's talking like he's in a trance. And I'm like, I feel like these people's, like this guy, and at first I was like, I think she hypnotized all the black people. Like that's what I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking that she's doing something to all the black folks. So I'm like, yo, like what is going on? Like this is the whole entire movie, I was just blown away by all the creepiness going on, right? So then he doesn't have his full camera, right, at some point, because he puts his camera away. I think he tells his girl that he was like, yo, I think your mom hypnotized me, because at the thought of cigarette, it makes me sick or whatever. And she's kind of like, you know, laughing it off like it's no big deal or whatever. Fine. Cool. So he's not walking around with his camera anymore. Now we also see, they make it a point to show his cell phone continues to get disconnected from the charger. For whatever reason, I don't know. But we'll find out later. So anyway, so then we see that he's walking around with his cell phone. So he steps outside. He's trying to avoid her father. He's just trying to avoid having certain conversations, I guess, with people. So anyway, he comes into this, what looks like a little patio or whatever, and he's basically, someone asks him, what is your take something along the lines of, what are your thoughts about, you know, being a black man in America today, or something like that, right? So then the other black guy that we see with his wife that looks like is like 30 years older, comes around and he kind of diverts the question to him. So as he's talking, he lifts up his phone to take a picture of him, and the sound of the camera going off takes this dude out of the trance that he is in, and he goes after Chris, and he's like, get out, get out. His nose starts bleeding like it's crazy, right? So they play it off like he's having a seizure. Everything is fine. They have to take him away, I guess, to put him back in a trance or whatever. And everybody was fine. Everything was fine. But he didn't feel good about it because he was convinced that it was a seizure. The guy was having a seizure. He came back. The guy came back good as new. Like nothing happened. Everything was fine. Nobody called the cops. Nobody called the ambulance. Everything was fine. But he had a seizure, right? So anyway, long story short, him and his girl go for a walk. They get away from everyone. They're talking. He's basically telling her, like, look, I know this sounds crazy, but I'm leaving. I'm out. Like, this is just too weird. There's too much going on. I'm not comfortable. I'm gone. So she's like, so you're just gonna leave without me? He was like, basically, you come with me or not, it don't matter. Like, I'm leaving. So they're sitting down. She's crying, and he's just like, you know what? You're all I got. I'm not leaving here without you. Let's go pack. Let's get out of here. Throughout all of this, her brother shows up to the house before the event. They're having dinner. At one point, the brother wants to put him in a headlock. They talk about this UFC stuff. He comes around and he proceeds to try to put him in a headlock. And his mother looks at him like, don't do that. Like, have a seat. So later on, of course, I'm just like, her brother wanted to kill him. Like, what is happening, right? So long story short, they get back to the house after everyone is leaving. He goes in, he goes upstairs. They're packing. They're like, pack your stuff. We got to go. Let's get out of here. Find the keys to the car. They go downstairs. She's spending way too much time looking for the keys to the car. I said, this biatch is in on it. Either she's hypnotized too, or she's down with her parents and they're all crazy. All of them are just insane, right? So yeah, she's one of them. She's bad. So then we see that his boy is trying to contact him. They can't get in he can't get in contact with him. He works with TSA. He takes his job very seriously. So he tries to tell, I don't know if it's his police officer or the head of TSA, but he's trying to talk to the manager or something. And it sounds so ridiculous to her that she brings in two other guys to listen to the same story. They're laughing at him. And he's babysitting his dog. So nothing is making sense. So he's doing his due diligence to try to investigate to figure out what's going on. So later on, we found out that his theory is actually true. Like, they were, somewhat. They weren't using them as sex slaves or anything, but they were using him. So at this point, he's in the house. Now he starts yelling at her, the keys, the car keys. And I'm like, this chick is in on it. Now they're closing in on him. It's about to go down. So, long story short, he tries to get away. They lock him up somewhere, and this is where the basement comes in. I was like, you know what? I knew something was up with that basement. And then I made it a point to tell Tyrone, I was like, she did something with that glass in the beginning that opened up the door for her to be able to hypnotize him. And he was like, what are you talking about? So she hit a glass, and he was like, I didn't realize that. So then her doing whatever she was doing with the cup, everything was open at this point for her to do whatever she needed to do. So he's in the basement, he's tied up. Now he's all messed up, right? So his best friend calls her on Chris's phone, and she's sitting there like a psycho, acting like she's crying, telling him that he left already, and he tries to record her, but she's like trying to call his bluff, and then she says that they're trying to get together or something like that. So that ends that, right? So then, of course, at the end of the movie, he figures a way out. He has a habit of scratching when he's nervous. So he ended up scratching the seat so much that the cotton was coming out of the cushion. So then I was like, why is he staring off like that? So I realized that he was thinking of something to do. So he stuffed his ears with the cotton so he wouldn't hear the teacup on the screen of the TV that he was watching, because they had this whole thing set up, and that's where everything came out. So apparently, before all of this happened, right, there's this little door in their room that keeps popping open. Eventually, he looks in, he finds this red box, and in this red box are tons of pictures of her and all these black dudes. So I'm like, this chick was lying the whole time. And apparently, she was also friends with the maid. So yeah, this wasn't her first time down the rodeo. So I'm sitting here trying to put things together. I was like, what happened to all these dudes that she was with? Like, where are they? So anyway, he sees this screen, and now things are coming out to light. So basically what's happening is that they're switching their brains out from all their victims into the people that they know. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, all these black dudes that she was with, did they take their brains and put them into all the people that came over for that event? Like, and now I'm starting to kind of be like, oh, this is some twisted stuff, y'all. This was some twisted stuff. Anyway, long story short, he ends up, flipping out. He starts killing everybody one by one. The girl, at one point, we see her with her headphones on playing music. She's just doing whatever. And behind her on the wall, we see all of those pictures. She just like hung them up. I'm like, this chick is beyond psycho. Anyway, everybody got killed. His best friend came and saved the day. And they went off. But yeah, man, this movie was absolutely wild, y'all. Absolutely wild. Give it a 4 out of 5 toodles, y'all. I really enjoyed it. It was really, really good. Really, really good. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you guys thought of Get Out when you guys watched it. I know it's been a minute, but I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know if you enjoyed my review. And if you haven't done so, subscribe to my channel. Hit like, share, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you guys can get notified whenever I pop up on your feed. I'll see you guys later. Toodles!